All right. Good afternoon again. My name is Dr. Nickeisha Stephenson. I'm a lecturer in chemistry, and I'm here to kick off our inaugural Grand Innovation Challenge, right? So, yep, it's here for me. And those applause is not for me, it's for our students that heard our challenge, it went out, and they responded, right? This is the first staging of this Grand Innovation Challenge. And we're hoping that next year or 2 years from now, we can have the second staging, and we can have more of our students competing and taking on the challenge, right? So again, welcome. All right, so as we get started, how many of you have asked yourself, what is innovation? So we talk about innovations, it's a part of our fit, right? Our theme of fit. What is innovation? And if you start to ask different people from different walks of life what innovation is, you'll get different answers. And now the word innovation is now a term taken away from science and technology and is now fully landed in the business realm, right? So when you ask a bunch of business leaders, what is innovation, you come away, you ask 15 people, you get 15 different answers. So I'll tell you two of the top ones I like, and then one answer that basically takes all their ideas into one thing. So, innovation by Paul Sloan says, creativity is thinking of something new. Innovation is the implementation of something new, right? Anybody can have an idea, but can we actually get something done? Drew Boyd says, anything that is new, useful, and surprising. That last criteria, surprising, tends to surprise people because they usually don't hear many people talk about it. For me, a great innovation are the simple ones that make you slap your forehead and says, gee, why didn't I think of that? Right? So certain words that can be used to describe innovation: original, unexpected, fresh, never been thought of before, never been seen before, creative, new, useful. So when someone tells you an idea that's innovative, it comes to you, you're like, whoa, that's clever. What a great idea. Why didn't I think about it so I can make all the money and be rich too, right? That was so simple. Descriptions. Challenging conventional notions of how things have been done before and bringing ideas from one industry to another or from one geographic region to another. So the aim of our inaugural Grand Innovation Challenge, right, we sent out a call to our students, and our call was very simple and very broad. He says, do you have a science innovation idea that will help society? And can you pitch your idea or present your prototype to a panel of experts? We gave 4 categories: global plastics, crime, climate change and environment, and health, right? With the stated price of US $5,000 in cash prizes that's available from the kind sponsorship of IDB, International Development Bank. So for today's, let's give a hand up to IDB. So today's first prize winner will be walking away with $3,000 US, right, in cash prizes. So for those of us who did not participate this year, I hope next year you can say, well, you know, I have school fee to pay. I'm going to enter, right? So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to turn over to David to introduce our wonderful panel of judges so we can get this on, because you didn't come here to see me. You came here to see your contestants, right? And let's get the judging underway. And I'm David. Always a gentleman.
So good afternoon, everyone. So I'm the co-chair with Dr. Stephenson, Dr. David Picking from the Natural Products Institute. So it's with great pleasure that I can introduce our panel of judges today. We have three judges with very different backgrounds. The first judge is Dr. Sharon Smith, our very own Dr. Sharon Smith, who is the very, very vibrant director of UWI's Business Incubator. So Dr. Smith has significant industry as well as consulting experience with a focus on MSMEs, a proven record of teaching and research, as well as practice of marketing, operation and general management in the global marketplace. In the short time that she's been back with us at UWI, she's ignited fires in terms of entrepreneurship and commercialization on the campus. So very much the right person to have on our panel. So Dr. Smith has also recently been recognized by Project Harambe and Mugamba Foundation, which are Chicago-based charities, for her contribution to women and children with HIV and AIDS in Kenya, and based on her innovative microeconomic projects that have helped restore dignity to the participants. Since her return to UWI, to the UWI community, she's continued her activism on behalf of women and children, focusing on Jamaica and other Caribbean tours. Dr. Sharon Smith, welcome, and thank you for agreeing to be on the panel today. So the next judge, we are very, very delighted to have Professor Bob Sim, who's flown in specially to be with us all the way from Oxford University. And for those of you who weren't around this morning to hear his remarkable presentation, just a little overview. I could stand here and speak for several hours on his accomplishments. So Professor Bob Smith obtained his DPhil. So those of you who don't know the DPhil, it's the PhD offered by Oxford University. So he received that in, am I allowed to say this, Prof? 1973, where he worked on the research unit of Rodney R. Porter, who went on to win, or had won, the Nobel Prize in 1972 for his work on IgG structure research. His research focus over many, many years has been on structure function of immune system proteins. And in his career, very prestigious career, he's published over 350 papers. As well as being an academic, Professor Sim has also been directly involved in two very successful startup biotech companies in the UK, Amelin Pharmaceuticals and Summit Oxford, and has served as consultant to a number of global companies such as GSK and others. My next, so thank you and very, very welcome to Professor Sim, and thank you for agreeing to take part. And our next judge, again, people who weren't here this morning, is Mr. Henry Mooney, whose country, new to Jamaica, so he's enjoying being in Jamaica with us now, Mr. Henry Mooney, who's country economist for the Inter-American Development Bank, who of course have made this competition possible through their very generous donation of $5,000 US. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Henry Mooney to do greetings and to kick off our competition. Thank you, sir.
So I have to say, I'm very happy, I feel very privileged to be up here for the second time today. Let me put this up here. I will try to be brief, but I think this has been a very exciting and interesting conference, what I've seen of it so far. I don't know if you can hear me. But on behalf of the IDB, I wanted to congratulate the faculties that have put this together. It's been a very interesting event. I've actually just come from the lunch, where it was a combination of not only the former Prime Minister, but people from various faculties and the private sector discussing all of the many ways this institution can leverage its position with the academic community to help propel innovation and growth in this country. So on behalf of my institution and our General Manager, Therese Turner-Jones, the IDB welcomes this initiative and is very happy to finance not only part of this conference, but more generally work of this institution in this country and others like it, which are critically important. Now, for those of you who saw my presentation before, I think from the economist perspective, you know, the idea of innovation is extremely important. No country has ever grown and developed beyond a low and middle income country without allowing the private sector to drive innovation, technology, and productivity. And certainly now that this country has reached a very important critical milestone where it has succeeded in dealing with some of the critical macroeconomic and fiscal issues that have plagued the country's development for the past several decades, now this conversation can really start in earnest in terms of what else is needed in order to propel growth. And one of the key issues, as I mentioned before, is exactly what we're talking about: innovation, productivity, and how this institution and others like it can serve as a convener and catalyst for those sorts of issues. So this our institution is extremely happy to be part of that conversation, to provide not only financial but technical support in related areas, and we look forward to continue to being a close partner of not only UE but the academic community in trying to propel innovation and partnership with the private sector. So I look forward to judging, although I've never seen the Shark Tank show you mentioned before, but I'm sure we'll have a very exciting afternoon. Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, just in terms of the format, we have 4 teams. Each team will be asked to come up and present for 10 minutes. And then there's 10 minutes for the judges to interact and ask questions. So without further ado, we'll start with our first team, which is climate style application.
Good afternoon, everyone. All right, so today I'm here to introduce you to our climate adaptation app, Climate Style. Now, Climate Style is aimed at using complex weather data to provide you with easy use information and suggestions that will inform your daily lifestyle choices. The fact is, climate change impacts our life in every way possible. In the Caribbean, more so than most places, because we are feeling what is happening in our more industrial and developed countries, or what is coming from their production. What our app is seeking to do is to inform you with suggestions for your daily lifestyle activities. So whether it's your leisure activities, occupational activities, and what you choose to do for your regular chores and sporting events. Now, to use our app, what we have initially is a main menu that gives you 3 options. And the 3 options are beach day, laundry day, and hairstyle. Now, say Elizabeth is at work and 4:35, she's ready to leave. She gets a call from her supervisor. She has to take an impromptu trip on Friday morning that she was not planned for. Now, it takes her roughly 2 hours or so to get home and to try to sort out herself. She gets home, she realizes in order to pack for this trip, she's going to need to do the laundry tonight. Is it safe for her to do the laundry? Now, bear in mind, she only has that night and a small portion of Thursday to finish her preparation. So, what is Elizabeth going to do? Now, what she can do using our app is to select our laundry day feature. Now, in the laundry day feature, she can select her location for her home, And we have here selected for you Kingston. Now, after she selected her home, she now has the opportunity to either customize her regular laundry time to set in her home and to set that, maybe she's a frequent Saturday washer or she washes on Sunday. But for this particular instance, she just wants to get the information now. So she takes her second option. Now, having selected the second option, it tells her what it is for her tonight. Now, based on this, do you think it's safe for her to wash tonight? So she's seeing that she has partly cloudy and coming into the morning, which is or later from the night, she has sun in the morning. So we're telling her it's safe for you to wash tonight, but since it also gives her a little preview of Thursday and the clouds are rolling in, we're also advising her once she wakes up, she should take up her clothes immediately and not leave out and leave them on the line. Now, if she's a little iffy about what we're telling her, she has the option to get further breakdown as to why we're telling her that it's safe for her to be able to wash tonight. Now, it is not simple or cheap to create application that helps our society. And so we have a breakdown of what it would look like to do a startup app. And so if we go the route of using freelance programmers that we can pay at a reduced rate, we come back with a general breakdown of a minimum $3,000 to $7,000 US for a 3-month work job of getting this app completed and ready for testing and possible future use. Now, how will this actually become profitable? Now, since the original version of the app is going to be a free app that anybody can download, that free version is going to come with advertisements. And so advertisements would feed some of our income. But then there will be the in-app purchases, where they have the option to now expand from those 3 menu options to getting alerts, to getting extra features such as car wash days, right? And when it's good to do sailing activities. And so you find that the app becomes something that is able to be integrated in all aspects of what they're doing in their day-to-day life, irrespective of if they're in the middle income, high-end income, or low-income section of our demographic. Now, what we really look at when we're breaking down this app to feed into how it really works is we are getting our weather data from multiple sources. And the reason for that is to increase the accuracy of or being able to suggest to you what is happening. And those sources are then averaged and fed into an algorithm that is used, that is set with the threshold that gives you the information for the suggestions. So for example, for our laundry day, the thresholds that we look at, or some of the thresholds that we look at, is the temperature for that day, and whether there will be rain for that day, and also for the wind speed for that day, right? So that is then fed into those icons and fancy, pretty images that anybody can interpret, because a picture is so simple. So you won't get the numbers that you'd find in other weather apps. You will get just an image to tell you what you should be doing that day, depending on your selection. Now, if it is that we're going to be able to adapt to climate change, and remember I said that this is a climate app, it means then, because our behaviors are all informed by climate change, we will then be able to use this app to navigate around our daily routine. So the extremes that are now happening will become alert features that you can get on your phone each morning to tell you if you might have to change your routine. Our group that we have here, consisting of Peter Brown, Christina Douglas, and myself, Candice Charlton, is very pleased to have been able to tell you a little bit about what we're working on, and we hope that you are interested in it and you would want to invest in our app. Yes, we'll be starting in Jamaica first. Now, in terms of other application, the other application that we found and we're looking to start off in Play Store, the other application that we found on that setting are all separated. Like you'll have a weather app that just gives you numbers, and we found laundry apps, but those are just in terms of your closest laundromat or a delivery service, nothing that really looks at what we will be doing in the Caribbean context of the need that we have to actually air dry or line dry our clothes, because we don't all have the capabilities of having a dryer. So there isn't any app that we found or researched so far that combines all these features or even have the specific features that we are offering.
Complex is it? How complex is it to get together the various sources you have of weather forecasting? Are there many different services available here, and are they regarded all of similar reliability?
Okay. Well, so we have here on the island the Met Service, the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, which is very reliable. And then what we're seeking to do is to use them because they are in-home source, but then to also draw from satellite-based reliable sources that produce the same forecast to then do the averaging. So we'll use in-home and then use some satellite sources to provide that information.
I think it was a great presentation and a fascinating idea. I have a question, so maybe it's the economist in me, but have you thought about monetizing the data that you will generate from people, selling it on to other companies that are trying to track behavior? You could sell it to Amazon, perhaps, who will know when you need to buy more laundry detergent from them or something like that. I see an opportunity here for you to commoditize this data and make some money from it. Have you thought through this?
Well, we haven't thought that far ahead, but it's a good suggestion and something that we can definitely look into. We could probably speak some more about it. You could, inform us some more on how to really make that happen.
I want 5%, by the way, if if anything you generate.
Yes, a bit of a follow-on. I know you said that there are no adequate competitors, but what's to stop me from simply watching the weather and making that determination myself? So in essence, what I'm asking you is, what is your value proposition to onboard users? And then you also said that you are not going to charge users. It's free, the app is free, and you will monetize it by ads and vendors, correct?
By ads and in-app purchasing
right,
of
so
added
vendors,
features.
yes. So how will you onboard those apps, advertisers and the vendors that you speak of?
So the first part of what you're asking is pretty much what's the value of the product, correct? So when I say that there are no actual competitors that's doing what I'm doing, what I'm saying is, for us here in the general public, I'm pretty much a scientist, so I watch the weather station and I know what you're saying. Most persons watch it, and apart from the fact that they add the clouds or the sun, they don't pay too much attention to the background detail or even what is going on. That's to be honest in the Jamaican frame of things. Most persons don't even keep up with the weather. They don't plan that much for the weather. However, because the application that is being presented is going to give them in terms of ways that they understand for our budding Instagram babies or Facebookers, because it becomes that picturized version, that animated version that presents them just the animation that they're familiar with, that they're able to understand it doesn't require them to do any added thinking or figure out what does this really mean for me, because I'm telling them what it means for them. That is why I say that there's no actual competitor. The second part of the question I'm going to attempt to answer. So in terms of how to get advertisers and in-app purchases set up. Now, the initial reason why we're choosing to have this be a free app is to also help us to gauge what add-ons would be best. So a part of it, the part of the initial running it free and to get persons there is to then do research, because the free version comes with a feedback section. So it's to do research as to see what is it they're looking for, how well is it working, and this will be done generally in our testing stage. And so then we can then look for advertisements and do in-apps in the sense that how it matches up with what our current users and hopefully projected users are inclined to do. So if, say for instance, we approach a court that for us sells us everything that we have in our house, including washer, dryer, fridge, stove, anything. So we can get a court to advertise on our app, because our app covers hairstyle, which means they can buy the blow dryer from Courts or anything. Covers laundry, which means they can get the washer dryer set if you find that even though you have the alert, it might not work out. So you see the Courts ad 50 times, you're like, you know, I'm going to buy this dryer. So in terms of figuring out during the initial stages what the users are driven to, that is how we plan to steer our ads. Hopefully that answers that part a little bit, because I'm not such a business-minded person, but hopefully it answers that part a little bit.
So would you be able to incorporate any other parameters, things like pollen count, for example? Is hay fever an issue on the island?
Do you know how happy I am that you asked that question? Yeah, so that is definitely a future plan. Kind of selfish one, because I am an asthmatic and also highly allergic to a lot of things, and so I assume that in the setting there are persons that might not be as extreme as me but would want that information. So we are looking at adding those alerts and added features that cover the health-wise aspect of your lifestyle that you have to always keep in mind, because summers for me are hell, like literally.
So, you know, thinking about how companies, startups put together business plans, I mean, one of the key questions usually asked, in addition to where you're going to get your financing, how, you know, is scalability. So one question from a business perspective, how scalable do you see this idea being? Now, scalability can mean how many more features can you add on to your existing product, but also what other markets do you see this being easy for you to penetrate, and where you see there being also you know, the opportunity for revenue. So have you thought about scalability, and what are your thoughts?
So we have thought about scalability both in terms of features and in terms of other markets that we can penetrate, also in terms of if we would be able to widen our demographic, because the initial concept of this was originally targeting females, and then as we continued, we've started expanding where it can incorporate not just the female population but also our males. And so when in terms of scalability, we are thinking about the types of added features that would make sense, as well as the fact that because we are not only going to use the weather data that is local, and because we're also looking at using freely publicly accessible data, then that means that we're able to incorporate data from different areas, which means it gives us the opportunity to go into those markets and to provide those locations and those users with the same type of information from the app.
You mentioned in your executive summary that you hope to recommend, for example, appropriate hairstyles. What sort of variability would this include?
Could you please repeat the question?
Sorry, you say in your executive summary, you have written the summary, you say that you hope also to recommend appropriate hairstyles for various weather conditions, and I wondered what range of variability this covered.
Okay, so you know what?
So I'm just going to answer. Yeah. So the options for the hairstyle goes back to our general practice of wanting to dress up. We have dates, we have occasions, we have daily hairstyles that we use. And as climate change impacts us, we have incidents of extreme activities, whether it be a random thunderstorm that we didn't plan for or things like that. And so because the alert is there to give you that, the alert also covers giving you suggestions for hairstyles. So it's not going to tell you what to do with your hair. It will give you images of what hairstyle can survive your current weather, right? So it will only give you a suggestion of what hairstyle can survive your current weather. It won't tell you what to do with your hair. You can choose not to. But the suggestion is, if you want to look fly for the rest of the day, this is how you might want to style your hair. So when we give you suggestions for the hairstyle, that is what we're doing. So we're just recommending. And that is bearing in mind that we also have a culture of doing braids and other things. So it is geared towards just open suggestions and suggestions that are in line with the extremities that we don't expect, that we might want to do a little extra preparations for.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well done.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Actually, we have one minute left if there's any big questions from the audience. Professor Lancaster.
I was wondering, is it possible to be able to pick up on video cams that are out somewhere to be able to say, look, here's what Riverton City looks like today, you know, horrible smog coming in for asthmatics, and, you know, are there other ones that have cameras that are freely available and accessible that you could have a live stream come in?
So I'm liking that very poignant idea right there, because that is one of those brainstorms that we would have loved initially, but it's definitely something that is buildable, and it's an added feature that would actually can be easily monetized and scaled to different locations. So thank you.
Just one very, very quick question. Just one more. Oh, suggestion.
Hi, I was thinking a good suggestion would be as well to add like the seasons that fruits are in.
So we do have in our list of possible added features that are geared towards agriculture, such as the seasons, as well as when it's best to plant, as well as alerts for if it is within your regular planting season, but today is unusually hot, so you know you won't be able to plant. So we actually have taken into consideration scaling up to agricultural.
All right, off to a great start. Now we're going to welcome Anthony Drummond and Dominique Delahaye with Detour It.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Anthony Drummond, and This is my amazing partner, Dominique Delahaye. And, and today we're going to talk to you about our application, the Tourit, which has the primary responsibility of providing some form of security for citizens, or should I say travelers, whether locals or foreigners from criminal activities then. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so let's think about Montego Bay for a bit here. All right, I'm from Montego Bay. It's a great place. It's what we call the tourist capital, and not what most of you have been hearing, the land of scammers. It's not. All right? I mean, you can think about the great sites of attraction and so forth. We have great beaches, hotels, restaurants. The entertainment overall is amazing. And of course, if you have never been to Montego Bay, anyone in this room, you should reevaluate your priorities, because you need to visit Montego Bay. All right, but that is all good and well. But Montego Bay recently, you know, there's just too much drama there. Too many things happening. Things such as crime. For the past 3 years, the city has been plagued with crime. All right, we can think about just 2017. Within that parish alone, we had about 300 plus deaths. And that's just murders. We're not talking crimes overall. All right? And what really happened to some of these persons is that they end up in unfortunate situations. So it's like you're traveling. Basically, they do not know the area. So travelers, tourists, and locals alike, they go to Montego Bay, they don't know the area. And of course, people are curious, so they just want to go all over. And what happens is that they end up in those situations, they get mugged, raped, and so forth. All right, and because of that, and we were talking, and we just thought that because of our problem-solving skills and our, skills in IT, we thought to tackle this problem and see how best, we can help the citizens of not just Montego Bay, but Jamaica and possibly the world itself. So the application we came up with is the Tourit, and this is a general definition for it: a fast alert and response application for protecting citizens from criminal activities by advising them of dangerous areas and providing safe travel guidance. All right, so now I'm going to talk to you about the features that will assist us with achieving this objective. So there are 4 main features really. Hotspot alert, there's safe route guidance, some amount of augmented reality, and then a panic alert and response mechanism. So for the hotspot alert, basically what happens is that it will advise or alert travelers of current hotspots. And hotspots, in this context, we're referring to dangerous areas. So I want you to take a look at this, this mock-up that we have right here. So let's say this is my location. I'm at Rick's Cafe, that's in Negril. And this red circle here, it represents the perimeter around me. So if there's some form of criminal activity taking place within that zone, then the application will actually notify me of it. All right? And of course, we're working with 400 meters as the radius for that perimeter. Outside of that though, while you're using the app, we can actually select a different location if we want, and if something is happening in that location as well, it will give us an alert. All right, now these are some of the some added features that our hotspot alert would actually utilize as well. There's a hotspot filter and subscription mechanism. For the hotspot filter, what it does is, let's say that alerts will not be sent if the user is outside 400-meter radius. Basically what we're saying is that if there's an activity happening outside of your radius right there, then you will not get that alert, because what we don't want to do is we don't want to bombard these the users then with all of these notifications. And then the ability to subscribe or follow topics of interest. So basically when you're signing up for the app, it will give you some suggestions. So if I live in Kingston but I'm interested in Montego Bay, then I can choose Montego Bay to be let's say an area of interest then. And if something is happening in Montego Bay, it should provide me with some kind of update. So that if I want to travel to Montego Bay, I could say, no, today is not a good day. So I would go tomorrow instead. And of course, warnings will be prioritized, meaning that if someone gets mugged, we don't really want to push all of that, issues or alerts onto you. We're looking for bigger problems. I mean, it's not that it's not going to be there. It's not that it's not going to be there. It's just that we don't want to be sending you messages every single second. All right, then there is what we call the safe route guidance. So basically, what happens here is that in between, if there is something happening in between the user and their destination, then what happens is that the app will not only alert you of what is taking place, but it will give you or reroute you then to your destination. Yes, I could go through this, but I think you get the idea of what I'm talking about. And of course, all hotspots will be avoided. And now the thing is, if the application cannot find a safe route for you, it's going to advise you that you need to stay home and do something else. Right? All right, and also during transit, if there are some safe locations, for example, police stations and so forth, that the app can recommend, it will tell you of those locations so that you can probably go there for some form of cover. All right, then there's the idea of augmented reality, and a lot of you know about this. It's actually a big topic out there, and it's being heavily researched right now. Let's say you have your mobile phone out, you point it, you're looking at some location. It identifies that location, and also it brings up some information about stuff that has happened in that area before. So you can be vigilant and be very, very cautious about what you're doing. All right, so and it provides users with the ability to learn about important events and direct users to safe location in the event of a dangerous act. Meaning, if I have it up and it's pointing at a location, if nothing is happening in that region, then like at the top right-hand corner, you would get a green tick. But if something is happening, I mean, the screen itself would become red, and then it would have like an arrow to say that you probably want to go this direction and not over there. All right, then there's the panic alert and response mechanism. This is very simple. With the touch of a button, you can send out like a distress signal to some location so that the police or other military users, they can actually come and provide some form of assistance to you then. And of course, whenever you do that, some kind of confirmation will come up, because you do have persons, once they start panicking, they'll just be, pushing that button all the way. All right. Now, what if you do not have any data service, right? What if you do not have any data service? It's no problem for us. Dominic and I, we figured out something. So we're thinking about push notifications based on the user's interest. Remember, when you sign up, you have to put in your interest and then your last known location. So we would still be sending you information, if something is happening in the area. So you don't necessarily have to have data service in order to use this app. But for real-time and up-to-date, like proper information, it would best if you have data service. All right. Now, where is all this information that we're talking about? Where is it really coming from? All right. So we're talking about the public in general. So everybody in here if you're in a location and something is happening, we're basically saying, since you know about this activity, you need to upload that information so that you can share it with everybody else, right? Of course, once you upload the information, what happens is that we would have specially designated persons who would need to verify the information, because we don't want you to just upload just about anything, right? And then at the same time, we would have influential persons who are uploading information. From time to time, stuff will happen, and then, in less than 5 minutes, it's all over Twitter, it's all over social media. So, and a lot of persons follow influential persons. So, getting these influential persons on board, it would really help to push this application forward. All right, now what about extensibility? We believe there is great potential for growth here. Of course, this can be extended to include a lot of other areas. What we're looking at is not just Jamaica. We're planning to launch in Montego Bay, but then throughout Jamaica and possibly the world itself, because it has great potential. All right, and then also we're thinking about the use of CCTV in order to capture additional information to push the app forward. All right, and we have two similar technologies here, but nothing as sophisticated as what we have. But my time is up, so I'll just jump into the questions and comments for now.
So thanks very much for your presentation. I have to say, I arrived in this country 2 months ago in February, and very shortly after arriving, I started looking for something just like this and wasn't able to find it. So I think it's a tremendously good idea. So maybe one comment and then a question. So I see it. It's a model that's out there. There are lots of mapping apps. So that's a commercially viable idea. That technology, the base technology, exists. And again, I absolutely see the need for it. The question is more about feasibility. Not just, I'm sure it differs across different markets, but is it actually feasible to real-time get that kind of information that you would require in order to be able to update these maps? I think there's one part, the safe routes, which is probably based on more static information, but the kind of rapid real-time alerts, that part, is that really is that feasible right now, or is that aspirational?
Yes, we actually believe it is, and what we're talking, all right, so as a user, let's say that I'm traveling somewhere, something is happening, I see it right away, right? I capture whatever is happening, I upload just some information, right? Let's say it's a picture then, right? When I upload that information, based on, the whole metadata information that goes forward with that photo, right? It gets shared in a manner that it's really how the social aspect of it would really work. That because
All right, what's up? All right, feasible. Could you repeat the question again?
So there's no right answer to this question or wrong answer. It's really because I'm genuinely interested in this. I think it's a very good idea. It's a simple question. Is there data out there to make this feasible now, or is it something that you'd have to wait or make investments in new technologies in order to get? The idea of expecting people to stop their cars and transmit data on something that they see, I'm not sure how that how feasible that is. I'm not an expert, but But I know that there are, for example, real-time crime statistics in some places. So that's the question. Is that part of it feasible? It's a great idea. Is it just feasible?
All right, when you use the app, you know how you have certain permissions that you have to agree to before you can like download it and everything? One thing is your location. Even if you upload minimal information, we're still gathering a whole lot from your location. All right, so this is what we call the metadata. This is additional descriptions associated with your location. Location, okay. It is feasible. We spoke about credible sources, including journalists like Giovanni Dennis, Abaka Fitzhenley. We need these people on board to sort of push it immediately. You know how Jamaica works? It works like a whole word of mouth kind of thing, right? So once we have people posting credible information and it gets out there fast, and we're pushing those notifications back at you quickly, you can easily reroute. So it's possible.
Okay, so it's possible. How much is it going to cost to actually do it? And how much will you charge users, or is this going to be another free application?
All right, so to be honest, being the humanitarians that we are, initially we were thinking, you know, it would be free, to be honest. In terms of, you know, in terms of charging users, then what we spoke about is, you know, initially when you're signing up, you would have, or you would be able to select a set of interests. We're thinking about limiting that then. And then if users actually want more, they would have to subscribe. So that's one aspect.
Second part of the question is probably the most important. What is it going to cost you to actually set this up and run it?
Yeah, I would say about 5,000 US would be good. But in general, I mean, and outside of that, you just need a few programmers. It's not difficult to do, really. It's not difficult.
If I could just ask, do you think there might be a problem with malicious reports with this sort of app? For example, in a cafeteria, if a rival cafe owner wanted to not you were discussing judging the credibility of reports, and I wondered how this procedure would be done, how long it would take, because I would be concerned in this aspect, for example, of the possibility of occasional malicious reports. For example, in a cafeteria, if a rival cafeteria owner wanted his rival to do less business, they could generate some malicious reports of incidents going on. How long would it take to make a decision about that sort of behavior?
All right, so the idea behind the app is, and well, you mentioned it, we would have specially, you know, designated persons who would, you know, so that once the information comes in, it would then be up to them to have this information verified. And everything is location based. So normally, I mean, depending on the area, whatever happens in a particular area, if that information is sent to say, you know, something happened in Montego Bay or wherever in Montego Bay, then that that station in Mobe, it would then be up to them to somehow verify this. And I mean, some form of mechanisms would be put in place to ensure that it's done in a timely manner. So what we were thinking about is no more than 5 minutes at most. So we would get it done.
So you mentioned other platforms. I only saw it at the end. Again, I didn't find any, but that do something similar. It's really a business question. You know, it's a very good idea. It's an innovative idea. But I wonder, what are your thoughts about whether it's optimal to create something from scratch? So a mapping platform, and then on top of that, the innovative ideas that you have, or partnering, for example, with an existing provider like Waze, Apple Maps, Google Maps, what have you. And so selling, you know, working with them to develop this as an add-on to their existing technology, which of course would save you a great deal of time and give you resources that you may not have, in addition to the potentially $5,000 that you could win, but or $3,000, what have you. I wonder if you thought about that.
All right, so yes, I mean, even today we were talking about it just this morning in terms of, you know, the whole idea of partnership. And I mean, we were just saying that that would possibly be, you know, a really, really good idea. It's just that, all right, so what we really want, though, I mean, partnering with other persons, you know, allowing them to push this forward, it's really good and everything. It's just that, I mean, you know, the whole idea of we just don't want to lose this application. That's what we do not want. We don't want to lose it. We want it to be something that is, you know, probably specific, like it's a Jamaican thing then, if you get me. That's what we really want.
By the way, if you go this route, I want 5%.
We could discuss that, of course.
All right, thank you so much. So we're going to move on to our third team now.
All right, I'm more than a little bit nervous, and what typically keeps me calm is not singing, but words. So, as this song behind me plays, I'm trying my best to... All right? You can ignore the words before the chorus. For me, I think Jamaica needs a change, and the change has been long in coming. All right? So something has to be done. Some change has to come. All right? So that's my start. All right? Now, preparing for this presentation, I had some words floating in my head. And the words I had floating in my head were 60, 80, 90, boom. Motherless, fatherless, childless, doom. All because a sign was disregarded. All because the laws you discarded. So what I am talking about, all right, and you'll see, go through, all right. No, just double click, just double click, just double click. Because you have something else running. Close. Close that. Close. Close. Now stop. Come. Cancel. All right. Bear with me. All right. So, as I said, I like playing with words. I also like playing with numbers. Now, I'm nervous. I'm going to try my best to make you nervous as well. So there's a pattern behind me. And the challenge is, if you can figure out the pattern behind me, wherever I get some prize, I will share it with you. All right. Now, I like starting this with a little story. And the numbers behind me have a very telling, and have left a very telling impression on why this became a reality. So the first number you see there is 1436. Fortunately enough, I was sitting in a police station, not under arrest, but sitting in a police station. And of course, you know, they have their radio scanners, and the scanner was running. And over the scanner came base. I have this driver's license number, this person. Are there any outstanding tickets for this person? That's the number of tickets the one man had waiting for him. Now remember, Jamaica has a ticket amnesty almost every single year. So one man having 1,436 tickets. Now right throughout yesterday we heard that you come across a problem, you hear something, it seems to be an issue, you come up with a solution. But not only did that man have 1,436 tickets, he also had 40 arrest warrants, which meant he was stopped at some point by some police officer, given a ticket, had outstanding arrest warrants, never checked. The one there is really and truly, all it takes is one thing, one solution to solve that problem. So, here we go. That introduces Squaddy. All right. Now, what's the problem? Outside of that problem, when that idea sparked, outside of that problem came this. 80% of Jamaicans think the police force is corrupt. That was a Gleaner Commission study. All right? Right or left culture. If you're not from Jamaica and you hear right or left, let me explain it to you. Right the ticket or left some money. So any policeman asks you right or left, it means you're supposed to say right. All right? Now, as Jamaicans, we get to the point of realizing that the ticket system, the speed trap system is ineffective. You immediately, you're going down a highway, you immediately know police down the road. Why? Somebody flashing you. You know immediately. All right? So, and again, going back to the original problem, there's limited or no access to existing traffic offense. They have no view of it. All right? The second problem. Out of a list of 50 activities that cause premature death, road traffic accidents in Jamaica is ranked number 11th. The only other thing above that that is not a natural cause or not a health-related thing is, for us, it would be violence. All right? So there's violence and then road traffic accidents. All right? Most persons who die are the persons between them, the productive age, what you deem to be their productive ages, 25 to 39. All right? And the number of persons injured in road traffic accidents exceed 1,500. This is not counting the deaths. These are the persons who are injured, who are left probably with a broken limb, a missing eye, a broken hand, something. All right? So, with that, I introduced my team. They're not my squad members, but we introduced the app, Squaddy. All right? Jeremy Hall. He's currently doing an MBA in the Mona School of Business. He has an engineering degree. Philip Logan. He's a graduate of the engineering department. Andrew Johnson, very, very shy at the back of the room. Andre Garden has a degree in electronics, doing an MSc in medical physics. And I'm Jacka Campbell. You can call me Jay. That first name is a little bit difficult to pronounce. All right. So Squaddy, basically, it's the electronic policeman or policewoman partner. So how it works. There are two parts to the system, but the overall system works like this. Remotely monitors and records all traffic offenses. All right? provides information to police personnel about vehicles within their proximity, immediately updates the tax office. And this is key. If you're issued a ticket, you can pay the ticket online. However, the only way for you to pay that ticket online is if the policeman has entered that he's given you a ticket, right? There have been stories where people have checked online for 2-3 weeks straight, nothing is entered. It leaves your mind. Guess what happens next time? You have a court date, all right? And it requires that all traffic stops be recorded. Meaning, so if you give somebody a warning, you have to specify why you gave them a warning. The moment you stop somebody, you have to take their driver's license and say, I am doing something with this. All right? 3 key advantages. All right? Video of traffic offenses for court proceedings. No need for police personnel to be there. So they're left on the road doing what they're supposed to be doing. All right? Offenders can pay tickets immediately. All right? Provides a constant 360 view of the police. And this is to actually give you that corruption thing. So can't sneak off to the corner and say right or left. With enforced orders, it's very easy for the police high command to say, well, you must deal with the person within this proximity. All right? And no more static or obvious speed trap. All right? Squaddy markets. So even though Squaddy was designed for law enforcement, Squaddy is extendable to insurance, Squaddy is extendable to be traffic alerts, Squaddy is extendable to fleet management, right? It's designed in such a modular way that I can take out components of the system and it is applicable to all those areas. All right? An overview, a very quick overview of Squaddy because I think I have like 3 minutes left. All right? Within the police car, providing that 360 view, what happens? You have cameras that are constantly scanning cars, constantly recording license plates. And in the background, we're doing signal processing. So if you've changed the color of your car, but not changed your registration, that's going to give you a flag. If your insurance is out, that's going to produce a flag. All right? If, let's say, you've committed a traffic offense down the road, it's going to create a flag. And the policeman is going to be alerted to pull you over. Now, if he pulls you over without any of those things happening, he takes your license, and then he enters all that. And the system returns to him a photo ID of who you are and other information. Now he has something to compare it against. So there's no you illegally taking somebody else's name. All right? And the second part of the system is that we could actually possibly do light pole mounted cameras. But with the Jamaican Eye and the establishment of the Jamaican Eye, we'll simply be doing the software in the background. So we're actually going to take all that software, use software to actually process all those images that are being facilitated through Jamaica Eye. And that dramatically reduces the overall cost of the system. All right? Now, I call this my illustration Dubai. Supposed to give you a quick view of what the system looks like. So you'll notice, you'll find things giving different speeds. It will track everything throughout the frame and give you the speed. And if something exceeds that speed, a photo is taken of the car, license plate, and the speed is recorded. All right. Now, Squaddy competitors. Squaddy competitors all exist, largely exist within fleet management. And the personal camera, car-mounted cameras are the only things that exist within, possibly to say anything for insurance. All right? Squaddy, as I said, it's designed for law enforcement. The in-car law enforcement part of it, for all the parts, to assemble all the parts, not counting software, is less than 300 US. Less than 300 US. Looking at motor vehicle insurance, it's less than 200 US. To put the system together, not counting the software applications part of it. Right? Fleet management is just about the same as car insurance. And traffic alert system, the traffic alert system would simply use the existing framework that exists within the Jamaica Eye. So basically, if you're going from UE to halfway tree, you have to pass several intersections. It looks at the cars that pass within, let's say, a 2-minute interval, and gives an average time for all those cars to get to the other intersection. or wherever you're going. So you have now a flow. So if you're leaving Olab or coming into Kingston, immediately you know, should I turn to the Portmore, get off of the Portmore leg, or go all the way downtown? Which leg is quicker? So you get that information just from the already mounted cameras. All right? We started our building. And with our building, we can actually identify license plate. We can do a lot more. And with that, I am now going to open myself to questions. Thank you.
So Jay, a very compelling story, and actually I'm interested in purchasing this to ensure that it is never implemented. Because you have succeeded in making me extremely nervous. The question I would like to ask, are you already engaged with your potential buyers, because these are B2B solutions, right? With your potential buyers for their feedback. Do you have something that's being tested?
Not quite at the moment. However, I've been in discussions with at least one insurance company. We're at the point of actually getting to the engagement stage of actually signing NDAs. But we haven't moved beyond that stage. But there's an insurance company that's extremely interested in seeing how this works, because how it was pitched to them initially was, imagine, you got into an accident. How do you prove who is wrong? If you get into an accident, even if it's clear that you are right, you sometimes wait a year, 6 months, 9 months for the claim to be ratified. With this system, once a gyroscope detects an impact, because a gyroscope pitch your roll, but if you're braking in this direction and there's an additional force either way, it will detect that, and that will then trigger all the recording to be saved 5 minutes before, 5 minutes after. That will be then dumped to a central database, so your insurance claim, the turnaround of your insurance claim, is now much shorter. So that's one part of it that we've approached. I actually met with somebody from the police force, nobody from Jamaica Eye yet, but somebody from the police force, to kind of see if this would help. And they were extremely, extremely interested. So apart from the B2B, there's us to government, and then us to business. I hope I've answered your question. All right.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tremendous idea, and very well presented. I have to say, there was one part. I don't know very much about these products, but you mentioned your competitors, right?
Yes.
I mean, I have heard sort of anecdotally about police forces having, cars that record and cameras on street lights that take license plates and that sort of thing. So you mentioned many different things in cars, on streets, in police cars. Which parts of what you're proposing are not being done by another company?
There's no company that merges video recording and all your speed data, because with this, an insurance company can, let's say, if your initial fee is $60,000 for your insurance for a year, if you've never exceeded, let's say, a particular speed and you're not a particular driver, the only thing that exists like this in the world will be Snap. It's called progressive Snap View or Snap Drive or something like that, where they take a quick view. You plug something into the car's ECU, they give you a view of your overall speed usage, and then they base your rate based on how you drive. All right? There's nothing in the world that merges overall video recording for ease of, as well as the overall speed and everything else for ease of claim. We're in it within the insurance field. In the security field, there are some international companies that do body cameras and mounted pole cameras. However, the starting price of all of those and then the transfer rate of all of those, what we're doing in the background is signal processing for an existing network of cameras. That's the pole mounted version. And we will be trying our best to do all the products from that realm.
Maybe one minor follow-up question.
Yes.
The other issue that comes to mind are privacy concerns.
All right. We also examined that one as well.
Okay. So I mean, as I'm sure you've already thought about, you know, there are some places where recording someone without their consent is illegal.
Yes.
Audio recording, video recording, et cetera, et cetera. Have you thought about this in the Jamaican context and et cetera?
Yes, we have. In the Jamaican context, there is an act now before Parliament, which is the Data and Privacy, yes, before Parliament. Outside of that, there is a general reference to your right to privacy, but that seems to typically go out of the window when it comes to law enforcement. I'm hoping we'll see what comes out when the act is fully there.
Can I just ask, in terms of the legal framework for this, the type of evidence which you are collecting and so forth, can it already be used legally for various cases for prosecution by insurance companies, etc., and would be accepted by police for traffic offences?
All right. There's one insurance company that says if you have personal cameras, they're willing to use that evidence as well. And when you talk to a lot of insurance claim agents or those who do that, who go to the courts, they suggest that sometimes it's difficult to prove. So they're looking for any evidence that could be used. Not sure about the upward legal to the end of that, but they're looking for any avenue to make a statement that really and truly it shouldn't be a shared claim, this person was wrong or something like that.
Okay, thanks. You mentioned also the ability of the system for perhaps, may have misunderstood, to present details from someone's driver's license.
Yes. So
would the people who have access to that information be strictly limited? It would only be the police, for example?
Yes.
Or would it be any of your potential clients?
So if you look at it, the police has to enter a badge number, a password, and a username. And we're even tying this to possibly a cell phone, that there's a numeric code that's sent to the cell phone once that piece is done, so you know exactly who is logging in. And we're going to lock the IP, so it'll be IP specific. So if you're not using one of these systems, you won't be able to access the data.
As you mentioned IP, is there the possibility of intellectual property here and possibly licensing it for use in other locations?
There is a possibility of some parts of this being IP, and there is a possibility of licensing as well in other areas, let's say not just Jamaica, but Trinidad and other places. The possibility exists. There's a very distinct possibility.
One more question. So, partnering with other technology platforms, we had a very good presentation on mapping. Have you thought about that sort of technology, integrating that with your technology? I mean, I think it would be a great application, but also, again, a bit of a slippery slope, right? If it means that, you know, the logical extension of the technology you're proposing is that your insurer and the police can know where you are, see what you're doing at any given time, right? Which may or may not be a good thing. But have you thought about these things and how you can integrate other technologies and then maybe the consequences of it?
One of the very big consequences, and I am possibly going to look to the back of the room to Alaric Brown, and I'm a data person. I want all the data you have. Alaric will tell you, no, you can't get it. So even if I give you a full list of, I need permission to everything on your phone, he wants me to justify why that is. So I wouldn't possibly pass all the information from that to the insurer. There would be a filter, and from that filter, the only thing the insurer will probably get from you is the speed of the vehicle. If there's an accident, nothing else. So the insurer can't then go and probe your vehicle to say, is your vehicle parked at your house, or is it parked on the street? there's no way for the insurance company to do that. Where the police is concerned, their system, the system in their car, I think their high command wants to know where every vehicle is. High command everything about what they're doing and how they're interfacing with the public. And that brings us to the point of actually achieving how to achieve, where the corruption perception index is brought down, and we move forward having possibly world-class traffic department.
Costs to set up.
Cost to set up the in-vehicle police thing, as I said, all the parts to assemble all the parts for this is less than $300. And the software part of it, the software part, remember on the team, we were all picked because of our expertise. And when we looked at it, each system, including the sort of software cost, is probably a one-time cost. Including all of that, if we roll out 100 units, that would be about $750 per unit.
Jay, my brother in Australia was working with an IT company, and he suggested that they put GPS into every cell phone. The uproar that caused initially was, you know, my wife will know where I am and whatever. But why shouldn't the insurance companies decide that we will give you a discount if every car has GPS? My wife has GPS. I know exactly where, when it's time to put the coffee on when she leaves church in the morning, you know, or whatever. And so it's, I think we're reaching that stage. The Dutch police apparently got access to an insurance company's records and sent out bills for speeding fines, having tracked via GPS what time they took to get on the start of the freeway, what time they took to get off the end of the freeway, without any visual sign whatsoever. They sent them out automatically speeding tickets.
Yes. It is something that we could do. However, my one problem is this. Insurance companies in Jamaica tend to be reactive, not proactive. So when car alarms came out, it was very difficult for them to get to a point of giving a discount because you had a car alarm. Now it's become standard. And as I said, if one insurer can see the value in this, if they see that they're not paying out but they're collecting, and they're doing so because of how a person is using the road, in all aspects, I believe I would go for it.
So just have to be a bit more creative for speeding. All right, our last group, Rush Alert, Marvin Richards and O'Dane Williams.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marvin Richards.
And I'm O'Dane Williams, and we are Rush Alert. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, our team consists of Mr. Marvin Richards here, myself, O'Dane Williams, and Jamali Vassell. And we're all undergraduate students. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if crime and violence is a major problem in our society, can I get an amen? Amen. Parents are unsure if their child or children will make it home safely.
This idea, Rush Alert, was inspired by my cousin Rashidi Samouda. While on his way to the ice cream shop one Sunday evening, he was robbed of his cell phone and brutally murdered. Shanika Gray suffered the same fate. While on her way from her friend's funeral, she was abducted and likewise brutally murdered, and Nile Brown suffered the same fate. You may be wondering, what does these cases have in common? One, they are all teenagers. They are technology savvy, noting that they have an active social media account, and they all have a smartphone.
Alright, now guys, in 2017, Jamaica recorded a whopping 1,674 missing persons. And of that number, only 105 was found. Imagine that, just 105.
So you may be wondering, what is Rush Alert? Rush Alert is a mobile security application which will allow an individual while in distress to send out an alert. Individual will be able to sign up using Rush Alert by entering their name, their country, and their emergency contact, up to 4 emergency contact information. Say for instance, an individual is in distress, they'll be able to send out a pre-code message which will go directly to their emergency contact, in which their emergency contact can then track them in real time. We must not be adamant to the fact that some of the time when you're in a distress situation, you're not able to reach your mobile phone. That's why we have implemented a feature in which individual can set time interval in which the mobile application will check upon them. If 3 of those time interval is missed, it will automatically send out their location to their emergency contact, in which their emergency contact can then track them in real time.
Alright, now you may be wondering, what is this? Well, this is a business model canvas. And this is basically a tool used to test the viability and practicality of a business idea. So basically, we use this tool to test the practicality and feasibility and practicality of our business idea, and to demonstrate the various transitions from conceptualization to developing our minimum viable product. All right, so initially we wanted to target everyone, that is persons with an Android device and an iOS device. Also, we thought that our application was low cost, and we thought that our key partners were Digicel and Flow.
So to test our hypothesis, we went out and we met with a relevant individual. First, we met with the head of the criminal department at UWI, Professor Ariat, and also we met with police from the Mona and Papine division, and also the head of guardman at UWI, Mr. Damon Smith. And we gained some keen insight into what we want to do, and also to help us improve our product. And also they stated that they are waiting on this mobile application to come out so they can use it. So we did not stop there. So initially we want to target students, because students are one of the most vulnerable in our society. So we went to the student and we asked students, are you willing to purchase a mobile application to keep you safe? Guess what? Majority of students stated yes, they are yes, they wanted application to keep them safe, but guess what? They're not willing to pay, because student, guess what? We are broke. So, and they want someone else to foot the bill. A key thing coming from those interviews and surveys, we realized that data connection was a key concern for students, because many of the time they don't have data connection. So we went back to the drawing board and we pondered to ourselves and we come up with a brilliant idea to implement USSD technology along with our mobile application. So we met with Mr. Stephenson, who is the CEO of SMS Communication, because we want to use USSD technology in conjunction with our mobile application. You may be wondering, what is USSD technology? USSD technology is the same technology that you use to dial to check credit on your phone. So what we'll be doing is that individual can use USSD technology to dial code to check in at different locations. So individual can register using USSD technology by dialing *119 number sign, and they can enter up to 5 emergency contacts, and they will be able to check in at different locations using different code. And the key thing about the USSD technology, it is free.
All right, now guys, at this point, because of the interviews and surveys, we recognize that our value proposition would be the USSD technology, as was mentioned by my colleague here. And we also view SMS communication now as a key partner. All right, from those interviews and surveys, we recognize that students are safe at home, they're safe at school, but the problem lies between point A and point B, or simply while persons are in transit. We recognize that traditional security companies focus on home security and property security, and we will be focusing on transit security, and Rush Alert will be filling the gap in that market.
So we did not stop there. We went out and we conducted further interview and survey, because initially the students have stated their unwillingness in paying for the mobile application. So we said, let us go and check the parents and also institutions. So we met with parents and we asked parents if they would be willing to purchase a mobile application for their children. And majority of the parents stated yes. We did not stop there. We went out and we met with Mr. Stephen Rooms, who is the head of, the managing director of Archive, because what we want to do, we want to tie in a first respondent with our mobile application through a licensing agreement. And we have stated our solution, and he stated, yes, they are willing to come on board in offering our service to their existing customer base. Also, we are currently in discussion with the University of the West Indies, because we met with Mr. Keith Gordon, Director of Security of UWI, and also Professor Kawa, who is the head of the security at UWI, because we want to implement Rush Alert on the university campus coming this September, because we know that security is a major concern on this campus.
And guys, we did not stop there. We went out and we met with Dean Bernard, who is the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education, and also Mr. Coolidge Mentor, who is the Director of Safety and Security in Schools. And they too expressed their willingness in partnering with us and extending our mobile application to the entire education system in Jamaica. Now, from those interviews now and those surveys, we recognize that our key customer segments would be Hawkeye, parents, and of course UWI. Our revenue streams now include UWI through a licensing agreement, parents, and Hawkeye through a licensing agreement as well. All right, how do we fit in? First of all, Rush Alert is providing USSD technology, which is free, as was mentioned by my colleague. We're solving a major problem, and we're providing transit security. And our solution is not totally dependent on internet connection. From those, we also recognize Hawkeye as another key partner. Now guys, to the interesting part. All right, our key activities include the addition of new features, updates, and continuous research to refine our product as we go along. Our cost structure, costs will be incurred from server space, advertisement, and developer costs. Our key resources now include our founders, developers, brand, of course, our brand Rush Alert, and copyright, because as you know, we have to protect our thing, right?
All right, so to summarize our final product, our minimal viable product, we'll be having both an app version and also a version that can be utilized by bangers. And bangers is cell phone that does not utilize internet connection. All right, so to summarize Rush Alert, individual will be able to enter their telephone number and enter up to 5 emergency contact, in which they'll be able to send out an alert if they're in distress, which will go directly to your emergency contact. The emergency contact can then chat them in real time. And individual also, likewise, individual can create group, because many of the time we as students, we go out on field trip and there's no one to protect us, so we can form group in which we can relate information if anything go wrong on that field trip. So individual on campus and also a loved one can know that that something goes wrong as well. And with the bangers version, individual can dial code to check in a specific location to notify their loved one if they are safe. So judges, we believe in ourselves. Do you believe in us? If one life is saved, wouldn't it be worth it? Be safe. Use Rush Alert. Thank you. Oh, also, we have the application here. It's about 75% complete. So by September, it will be fully complete. Most of the features are not fully active as yet. But what else? The time interval. So by time the holiday we shall complete it, so we can launch it in Jamaica. Launch it in September. So it's not fully complete.
So while you're showing us the mock, that's the mock app, right? So maybe I'll start. Again, a very good presentation and a terrific idea. It's kind of interesting to see how many groups are trying to leverage technology based on cell phones and network providers, so how important that technology is. I'll ask you a similar question that I asked to another group. Have you thought about partnering? So you've approached security providers. They're interested. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Have you thought about partnering with other providers of similar technology to help you get this product to market, right? Or do you think that you don't need, you have all the technical expertise that you require in order to bring this product out?
We are planning, as explained in the presentation, we are planning to partner with Archive, as well as we are working with some students from this SciTech faculty and also students from University of Technology who are versed in computer science to get this this application up and ready as fast as possible for September. So yes, we are looking at partnering with individuals to get this out as soon as possible.
What about phone theft and phone loss? For young people that you wish to protect, how much of a problem is theft of the phone and loss? Maybe they just lose it?
Yes, so that's an important question. Where phone theft is concerned is that mobile application will automatically, the geolocation will automatically like update. So even if that individual phone is lost, they can, it will grab that individual, can grab that individual lost location. And noting that you can track your loved one using our application, individual can also track that phone as well. So I think the solution can also help with phone loss as well.
My usual questions, how much is it going to cost you to finish up for launch in September, and what will be your price to the consumer?
All right, so first we want to launch on the University of West Indies campus based on our meeting with Mr. Keith Gardner and also Professor Kawa. We're thinking about $100 per month per student, noting that the university has 20,000 students. Yes, so per month, so we cut down that cost to $50 per month. So from 20,000 students, we are looking to gross a net profit of $1.3 million, $3 million per month. And can you repeat the second part of the question again? How much is the cost to develop it?
All right, so the cost to develop the app, basically, it wouldn't cost a lot because currently the developer, we paid him, in total, I think it would cost like 50,000 Jamaican dollars.
Most of the cost will also through server space. Server space will cost $500,000, and also other utilities will also cost $50,000, as you can see up here. But because we are working, one of our partners is also a computer major. He's helping us building out this application. So it kind of set back some of our costs as well.
Is there any potential for IP here that you can then use to earn money elsewhere?
Yeah, yes. Through license agreement, we can look to further in the future to earn money from data collection through the mobile application. And apart from that, even in we're planning in phase 2 of this application to launch a watch with our security application in which individual can purchase that app for their child as well.
Sort of along similar lines to my first question. So you're partnering with security providers like Hawkeye Security.
Yes.
have you thought about partnering with cell phone companies like Apple or Android, right, as making this part of the operating system?
Yes, in the future, because we are taking it basically on phases. So initially we want to launch in Jamaica, and then we launch in Jamaica. We're thinking about outside of Jamaica, in which we can get our application to come with Android devices and also Apple devices. Because one of the key things we realize, even me being in the States, is that abduction is a major issue in the United States as well. So getting our application over there will be beneficial to also to the United States society as well. So later on in the future, we are looking at getting our application on the iOS devices and also Android devices.
Yeah, it makes. I mean, I'm just thinking that the economics, if you were to get a patent or get some intellectual property rights on this, one route would be what you're doing, which is selling an application for X per 100,000 million customers, or selling, a fraction of a penny times 10 billion users, or over time, right? Every time you sell a cell phone. So there are two different competing models, but it's something that you could think about.
Any more questions?
We just have a little bit of time if there's any questions from the audience.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I saw a similar product in works in the UK in Cambridge. And yesterday, if you produce a cell phone, like how you're saying that someone could send location by texting it in, or specific locations, but you would actually use a bra. No, let me explain. So you know that how they say sexual assault, kidnapping, and it's like how it's mainly geared towards protection of individuals. What they were thinking was, if a woman is grabbed by her chest or whatever, a particular patch would have received that distress signal and sent it off to the same contact, the trusted contacts you were talking about. This was in the UK, so.
I don't fully comprehend your question.
Well, no, okay.
Oh.
What I'm showing is that, okay, it's like you're saying that you have this idea to use it through cell phones. Have you looked at the competitors? Like, I shouldn't say necessarily. I was talking like in terms of your product, you're expressing your product. As I was saying, it's like how you're saying that if someone goes missing, they can send the signal through their phone. The same idea exists in the UK. So, and you're talking about copyright and everything, but how will you protect that idea, considering something already is in the works in the UK?
Oh, novel is our idea? All right, so basically what...
So basically you're asking how novel is our idea. Our idea is not new, because as you can see, there are other competitors. However, we are providing, and as you know, you cannot copyright the code for a app. However, you can copyright the design. So if we are first to market with particular features which we mentioned, such as the USSD technology, and we are able to copyright those features, I don't think we would get competition from anybody else, or I don't think anybody else could penetrate that market. I don't know if I answered your question, but...
So I just have a quick comment. Since you mentioned the use of smartwatches in combination with your idea, it's possible that you could also use the fact that a person's blood pressure actually increases, so that sustained increase in blood pressure over a certain amount of time in a short space of time, heart races and so on, it could be used to...
All right, so initial stage that we are currently on, we can think about that in the future, but we don't want to spread ourselves too wide now and then spread ourselves thin. So in the future, those are things that we can think about.
Okay, so that's a wrap. So we're going to allow the judges to convene and to go through the figures. And I'm going to hand over to... Okay, so we're just going to give the judges a couple of minutes.